Welcome to UND Insider Weekly alongside Brad Schlossman and Tom Miller from the Grand Forks Herald and Paul Ralston from UND Athletics. I'm Tim Hennessy. Gentlemen, the weekend was void of men's hockey, at least at UND, but that didn't mean there was wasn't a lot of things going on. And I know Brad would like to start with the women's hockey, so we're going to start with women's basketball since they sweep and put themselves in a position to maybe gain at least a tie this week for first place in the Big Sky Conference. Paul, what do you know about a couple of wins over Southern Utah and Northern Arizona?
Well, you know, they did what they had to do over teams that were behind them in the conference standings and predicted to be so. And you know, I think Northern Arizona was an improved team, and North Dakota really didn't give them a chance to breathe after about the first 60 seconds or 2 minutes of that game. And Southern Utah was missing one of their key players over the last couple of years. That is a deadly shooter who was lost to injury. And they kind of hung around in that Thursday game for a little bit, but then once we got about to that crucial time, that 8-minute mark of that second half, the UND kind of, you know, the class came to the forefront a little bit, and they could put the pedal to the metal, and they won the race to the finish line. So, you know, this women's team basically is, you know, doing it, you know, differently in every game. It seems like, you know, I think the rebounding's always there, but the margin in rebounding has maybe closed a little bit. This year, some games they shoot a little bit better from the perimeter. It's just a matter of, you know, basically kind of getting all those things kind of going together. And I guess this weekend they were heading in the right direction.
Tom, in your column on Sunday, you started talking about some scoreboard watching, huh?
Yeah.
I guess maybe it isn't too early, huh?
Coach Brewster said he got a few text messages Thursday night after Eastern Washington knocked off Montana, kind of maybe breathed some new life into that team. You know, once they were 2 games back from Montana, it kind of got the feeling like, okay, maybe UND won't have the opportunity to host, you know? And then all of a sudden, one game, you look ahead, next week UND plays Montana. All of a sudden, it starts setting up just right for kind of the perfect storm of things to happen for UND.
That's a big deal, too, isn't it, hosting that tournament?
I think especially when you look at whether or not it's in Grand Forks or in Missoula, because those are 2 of the best atmospheres probably in the Big Sky, which, you know, I think maybe if it was at, say, Sacramento State, where they don't have quite the fan base, it wouldn't be quite the difference maker. But I think the fact of whether or not it's in Missoula, where they play so well, or in Grand Forks, where I believe UND's lost two league games the last couple of years, maybe, and you know, just opportunity to play in Grand Forks is a big deal, like you said.
Well, look at what happened last year. None of those games were close in that tournament.
Yeah, you look, yeah, especially the championship game was close for a while, and then they had an injury. Montana did, and North Dakota was able to pull away as the game wore on. But yeah, I think maybe there's a little bit of scoreboard watching at this time of year. But you know, this sets up this huge weekend. But before we get to that, yeah, this weekend. UND did basically what it had to do in the games against Southern Utah and Northern Arizona.
Is there a better player in the league than Maya Lloyd?
I don't think so. I think you could really make the case for her to be Big Sky Player of the Year. Northern Arizona, for instance, just couldn't handle her athleticism. I know they might be a little bit of an undersized team, but Maya Lloyd seems to rebound against anybody.
Men's team went on the road and got a nice double overtime win, and then got drubbed at Northern Arizona. What went on, Paul? You were with them.
Well,
partly your fault. The drubbing, that is.
The first game against Southern Utah has been a unbelievably tough place for North Dakota in the first 2 years in conference. They've really struggled in that venue, the Centrum Arena in Cedar City, and so that was a nice step forward, and that was with some veteran teams basically in years past, and so that game on Thursday was an encouraging sign. North Dakota knows that it has a lot of work to do to get to that top 8 spot so that they can make the conference tournament. And they just saw great efforts. They had 5 players in double figures. They saw a game in which Jaron Nash went for a double-double. Carson Shanks went for a double-double. Maybe didn't quite play the last situation in regulation. They probably should have won it there the way that they wanted it. The coaching staff indicated what they wanted done in the huddle. Didn't quite get carried out, and Southern Utah was able to tie the game at the horn. But credit UND for staying the course and getting an overtime win. Saturday, that's a place where North Dakota's never lost since they have joined the Big Sky. Saturday went the complete other way. They did lose in Flagstaff for the first time against Northern Arizona. That's a team that was picked to either finish 2nd or 3rd, depending on what Big Sky preseason media poll or coaches poll that you were looking at. So this Lumberjacks team has a lot of good veteran players. They utilized that to their advantage. They made big shots early. They allowed them to stretch the game early, and North Dakota was never able to get a firm foothold of the game from that point. However, I will say there were some bright spots. Craig Shields got some minutes, and I was encouraged by the minutes. The young freshman showed some nice things. Bryce Cashman took some strides forward in that game. So despite the loss, although it does hurt to get beat that way like he did on Saturday, it was nice to see some young players kind of showcase what they have.
All right, Schloss, excuse me, the UND women's hockey team packed the Ralph on Friday night at just under $5,000, I think, in the building. And Brian Nadolski told me last week, remember at the press?
Yeah.
So how many goals are it going to take to beat her? I said, well, they're not going to get any, so one.
Yeah. Sure enough. That's all they needed.
There was.
The way Shelby Amesley-Benzie's playing right now, that's sometimes it feels like that. You get the one goal, and it's got to feel tough for the opponents, no matter how good they are, to come back from that. And it's she had the fourth shutout in 7 games, which is just ridiculous, and she's just playing really well right now. But the
Kevin Dubnik of the WC women, right?
Exactly. I mean, the thing that stood out to me almost just as much was how well they played defensively in front of her too. They did a great job not letting Minnesota transition and get up and down the rink. They did a really good job tying up sticks. They blocked 28 shots. Minnesota got 25 on net. So they blocked more shots than they got to the net. So they basically played their game to a T that they needed to, and they came out with the win.
I was going to say, this team has done what it's had to do, and you have to give it to the coaching staff to make the transition from a run and gun team, because they've had a lot of good offensive players, and they'll come out and just play keep away with the puck, to a team that can't do that now and doing what they have to do to win. I think it says a lot for them.
Yeah, that's. I think that's what happened midway through the year. I think they finally figured out what they need to do to win games, and they've really turned it around. It's amazing that this team had an 8-game winless streak at the start of the first half. The last time they played Minnesota before that Friday night game, they got outshot 51-7, and now all of a sudden they're beating them 3-0. I mean, it's just a massive turnaround. They got swept by Bemidji State, then they came back here during this latest stretch and beat them handily 2 nights in a row. So it's a completely different team right now, and now they're in position to get 3rd place in the standings right now.
Where does this put them in the national picture? Because everybody was really concerned when the new year came around about what the realistic chances were. Is it still the same? They have to basically win the tournament, or are things, is it brighter now?
Most likely they're going to have to win the tournament, but that win against Minnesota may have changed some things. You know, if they their last 4 regular season games are against St. Cloud and Mankato. They're the last 2 place teams in the league. They win those 2, they sweep in the first round, and then let's say they play Wisco in the semifinals and they beat them. I'm not going to say there's no chance. I do think there is a chance they could work their way into that group.
The Wisco games could end up 0-0 forever.
Yeah, that's another team that can play fantastic defensive hockey there too, and they have great goaltending. So, and they played a 0-0 game with them last year.
The softball team won 1 out of 4 games in Chicago, but they scored a lot of runs. I think that's kind of encouraging for people who are fans of the softball team. Up next, after a week off, men's hockey gets back underway with a home series against Denver, and assistant coach Bradbury joins the Coach's Corner next.
Here's to everyone who believes in competition and good sportsmanship, who knows it's not about the trophies or the medals, but rather the lessons learned. For those who understand, it's not whether you win or lose, just that you give your best. So go ahead, lace them up, take the field, have fun, and play. For the experience, for the memories, for the love of the game, Shields.
Cities Area Transit. We go where you go.
Did you know that riding the city bus is free for UND and Northland students?
I ride the bus so I don't have to find a parking spot, and then I'm always within an easy walking distance to all of my classes.
I'm going green, so I ride my bike everywhere. But when the weather turns bad, I take the bus. And why not? It's free.
Cities Area Transit. Enjoy the ride.
I'm interested to see, sounds like they're going to have Bresnahan take over center from Threlkeld.
Who's playing short this year?
Flawless.
North Dakota men's basketball returns to the Betty this week for a pair of Big Sky Conference matchups. First, UND takes on Montana Thursday at 7 p.m. Be part of a record night as we throw out hundreds of t-shirts to fans during the game. Then on Saturday, North Dakota squares off against Montana State at 2 p.m. in another Big Sky Conference showdown. Get your tickets for both games at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office or online at undsports.com.
Watch over 400 live events with the free Watch Big Sky app. Not able to travel with your team? Watch road games from home. Use the extensive archive to catch up on any action you may have missed. Watch Big Sky is available on your phone or tablet. Get it now on the Apple App Store or Google Play. WatchBigSky.com.
College hockey traditions continue, and the 2015 WCHA Women's Final Face-Off returns to the Ralph Engelstad Arena. Competition will be intense, so plan for a fast-paced, fun-filled, and family-friendly weekend of the best of women's college hockey. Affordable ticket packages are on sale now at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office and online at Ticketmaster.com. The 2015 WCHA Final Face-Off, March 7th and 8th. Get your tickets now.
UND Insider Weekly is sponsored by Shields and Grand Forks Cities Area Transit.
This Thursday, Through These Doors returns with an all-new episode. Coming off their bye week, the team readies for the final stretch of the season. The new episode premieres Thursday at 8 p.m. on UND Insider. This weekend, men's hockey returns back to action. It's Denver. And assistant coach Brad Berry joins us in the coach's corner. Brad, thanks for coming by.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Denver big series. Schloss was just saying, sold out, all ready to roll, huh?
Doesn't get any bigger, I don't think.
Did you see that in the fellas?
Yeah, I think they're, especially after a week off of not playing on the weekend here this past weekend, they're chomping at the bit, and they're focused knowing that we have 2 homestands and 2 road series left, and they want to get after it.
Yeah, I would guess so. This team has been just as consistent as you get, don't you think? I mean, really throughout the entire season. I mean, you've had a little dip here and there and a period here and there or whatever, a little stretch, but is that the most encouraging thing to you, is that you know what you're going to get when they show up?
Yeah, you know what? It's been fairly consistent. Obviously we like to see our Fridays be a little bit sharper, from the get-go. But other than that, I think it's been a good year in the fact that it's been consistent. I think what leads to that is our depth, having 4 solid lines and 6 solid defensemen, and obviously having that guy in the pipes back there that is going to make a save and dig you out in tough times. It really has a calming effect on your team.
I know you work with the D-Corps. How do you manage a D-Corps like that where you have 8 guys that legitimately can play every night?
Well, it's a good thing to have, and we've always talked about it. When you build a team, obviously you need to have the guy in the pipes, which we do, and you have to have depth at the back end, and then good centerman up the middle, and then from there you kind of fill it in, and I think in order to have a solid team, you have to have 8 guys, and I think we have an understanding with our guys that whoever's in the lineup is going to do the job, and the guys that are out of the lineup, maybe they're not happy, but they know they're going to get their opportunity going in. But guys have handled it well. You look at last year, Gage Osmus, he wasn't, at the second half of the year, really wasn't in the lineup, and he took that upon himself in the summer and got himself ready and put himself in a position to earn in a regular spot and did a great job. So it's not one of those things where you kind of have your tail between your legs when you're out of the lineup. It's what can I do to get better to get in the lineup, and that's our culture.
Brad, I know you guys have said, or at least Coach Hackstall said, that Tucker Pullman's future is as a defenseman. Does he? I mean, you're developing these guys all year. You're working with these guys all year. Does his time up front take away from his development in the back line?
You know what? We've talked about that numerous times, and I think by him playing up front, you get a little bit more understanding about the game. And what it says about Tucker Pullman. Number one, he's an athlete. And number two, he'll do whatever it takes, to help the success of our team. A lot of guys won't do that. A lot of guys, especially as a drafted player, they'll look and say, hey, I'm a defenseman and that's where I was drafted and that's where I want to play. And, he's got a pretty open mind to it. By the way, long term, I want him back on the back end. But like I said, he gives us a chance to win every night just because of the pace of play he has and what he brings to McMillan and Parks.
I know he does go on the back end for special teams.
Yep.
Is any concern about putting that much on the freshman's plate, or how did those discussions go?
Well, that's another conversation we had. Like, he's a freshman, but really he's played 3 years of junior hockey coming in as a young man at 20 years old, and so he's been in the wars and he has the experience. And we really don't look at him as a freshman. We look at him as a guy that has experience in playing those important positions.
We know Paul Ledoux has had his share of injuries and has dealt with them all season long. And I think a lot of people are waiting to see the Paul Ledoux we were used to last year. I think we're starting to now, huh?
Yeah, I think so. That stretch just before Christmas, he had 3 undisclosed injuries at the same time. That he wasn't the same Paul Ledoux that he was his freshman year. And, I think, he's starting to come back. Is he at the point where he was, last year? Probably not, but he's getting there. And, we're looking at a lot of good things from him down the stretch here.
Talk about Denver a little bit. You played them and split with them in Denver.
Yeah, very disciplined, well-coached team. Obviously, when you look at the strength of their team, you guys were talking earlier about their goaltending, getting some good goaltending there, which they have, and then also their back end, very mobile D-core that can move the puck and shoot the puck, add to the offense, and then Danton Heinen, freshman that's having a standout year there. So they're getting a little bit of scoring from all different areas, and it's coming together for them.
Brad, good luck this weekend. Thanks for coming by today. Appreciate
Thanks for having me anytime, gentlemen.
Brad Berry, assistant coach of UND men's hockey team. And after the break, a lot of conference races are coming down to the wire. The panel will preview the weekend's pivotal games next. Join us for the UND Champions Ball, benefiting UND's Student Athlete Scholarships. Mingle with coaches and students. Dance to Minneapolis band Power of 10. And bid on exclusive UND auction items. UND Champions Ball, Saturday, April 25th at the Alaris Center. Get your tickets now by visiting undalumni.org/championsball.
Who do the basketball teams play?
Montana
Montana.
So that's big for the women.
Cities Area Transit. We go where you go.
Did you know that riding the city bus is free for UND and Northland students?
I ride the bus so I don't have to find a parking spot, and then I'm always within an easy walking distance to all of my classes.
I'm going green, so I ride my bike everywhere. But when the weather turns bad, I take the bus. And why not? It's free.
Cities Area Transit. Enjoy the ride.
We live in such a fast-paced world. It's always go, go, go. When I'm out for a run, it's my time. It's the best way to start your day. Crossing the line of that marathon, it's the biggest reward you can get. I want my customers to achieve their goals and go above and beyond. I'm Nikki Ladegi, and I'm one of the running experts at Shields.
This weekend, UND men's basketball returns to the Betty as they welcome Montana this Thursday at 7, then to make sure to catch Montana State on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Get your tickets at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office or online at undsports.com. The games in town this week, Montana State for men's basketball, UND hockey men at home against Denver. Let's start with that one. The Denver Pioneers in town came off a 3-0 shutout of Colorado College in a lone game they played this past weekend, and sneaking up in the standings. Had a great series, Brad, with them in Denver in December.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is they've kind of gone to their other goaltender now. Evan Cowley hasn't been playing a lot of games. Tanner Gillette has been the guy getting the start. That's the guy UND beat out there. So I'm very curious to see how the goaltending works for Denver this weekend, and that's something we'll be watching for sure.
The young Heinen guy is a pretty good player. He's been stacking up some points, huh?
Leading scorer as a freshman. He's got to be in consideration to win Rookie of the Year in the league. He's a good player. Trevor Moore can put up the points. I never thought Quentin Shore would be like their 6th leading scorer on this team. So that says they've got some young players stepping up and doing some things. And of course, Joey LaLeggia is around for his 18th year right now. And he's still scoring a lot of goals from the blue line. I think he has 10 already, or 9 or 10.
He's doing a pretty good job back there. It's we talk about it all the time about big series, so I guess not even any sense to really go there. We know how important they are in the NCHC standings every series.
Well, I think this is one the fans really have gotten fired up for recently. You know, Minnesota's not coming here every year. Wisconsin's not coming up here every year. But I almost think that the fans are getting more fired up when Denver comes here than Wisconsin was coming here by the end. And I think this weekend's already sold out, and it'll be a good atmosphere. And these games are always entertaining. You know, when isn't North Dakota and Denver entertaining? So I'm looking forward to it.
You've got, you'll be out of town with the men's, you'll be in town with the men's basketball. The women are out of town against Montana.
Who knows? They might send you out of town. I don't know.
A lot of people had a choice, but
that's exactly
there are not a lot to
Thanks, Tim. With the men's team, I think the magic number is right around that 8 wins to get into the conference tournament. And they have 4 home games remaining in this home stretch, including the Montana schools here this weekend. So I think these are critical games on the men's side. Montana's very good. They've got a transfer post from the University of Washington, who I think is going to be in the conversation for Player of the Year.
We got Carson Shanks.
And North Dakota's got Carson Shanks. And Carson is a better player now than he was the first time when these two teams met. And so it's going to be a battle on Thursday night. It's going to be a battle on Saturday. Montana State, even though they've struggled, they're not like you would think a struggling team. They've got the pieces to beat you. And so North Dakota's going to have to be good. And they've struggled at home a little bit, trying to find whatever feeling it is they need to get wins at home. And so, this is a big one. If North Dakota can pick up 2 wins here this weekend, that puts them right in the picture to get into the conference tournament.
Tom, is it be-all, end-all for the women at Montana State?
It really looks like it's coming down to that game on Thursday night in Missoula. Just because I don't know if anybody other than North Dakota can give them a really good run the rest of the way here. And that's a real big game, and I think the thing that stacks up on UND's side here is this is a really veteran team that's played in big games that were major contributors through the run last year. I think that's going to pay off on Thursday.
I think Brewers said they're starting to get it, or they've gotten it, where they maybe thought before that we're North Dakota, we were in the NCAA tournament last year, we show up, you fall down. Doesn't happen that way, and I think they're starting to get it. And the baseball team starts this weekend at Arkansas.
Feels like baseball weather, doesn't it? Just 10 degrees just makes you want to play
grab
baseball.
A wooden bat and hit a fastball, don't you? Whoa.
SEC baseball, they get fired up down there for that. They'll get great crowds for those games, and they're televised on SEC Network too, so
good weekend.
It should be very interesting for the baseball team.
They'll know early where they are. Coming up, we've broken down all the games this weekend, and now the panel let us know what they're looking forward to most. That comes up next.
UND Insider Weekly is sponsored by Shields and Grand Forks Cities Area Transit.
North Dakota men's basketball returns to the Betty this week for a pair of Big Sky Conference matchups. First, UND takes on Montana Thursday at 7 p.m. Be part of a record night as we throw out hundreds of t-shirts to fans during the game. Then on Saturday, North Dakota squares off against Montana State at 2 p.m. in another Big Sky Conference showdown. Get your tickets for both games at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office or online at UNDsports.com.
We play to win, but it's bigger than winning. It's about authenticity, being true to yourself, genuine dreams and a country big enough to fit them, values and hard work, giving your best and giving back, working together, building a tradition bigger than any one of us, and showing the world every day who we are and how we play. We're Big Sky. We are the heart of the American West.
Join us for the UND Champions Ball, benefiting UND's student-athlete scholarships. Mingle with coaches and students. Dance to Minneapolis band Power of 10. And bid on exclusive UND auction items. UND Champions Ball, Saturday, April 25th at the Alaris Center. Get your tickets now by visiting undalumni.org/championsball. Welcome back to Insider Weekly. So what are we looking forward to this week? Gentlemen, start with Tom.
I'll say the kind of the obvious one, women's basketball. Regular season crown is sort of on the line, I guess, Thursday night in Missoula. So that'll be one everybody will be watching.
Brad?
Of course, both hockey series will be interesting. Women's team needs to sweep St. Cloud State, and
that won't be interesting.
Brian Nadolski hopes it won't be interesting, right. But what will be interesting is to see how they come off of the Gopher series and see if they can take care of business against a team they're much better than. And also looking forward to see how men's tennis does out in Chicago this weekend. Their #1 player, Dustin Britton, looked pretty good in his first meet of the year.
Paul?
Well, first of all, Bill Murray makes his yearly appearance at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, so that's always a rite of passage into spring, I always say. It kind of triggers spring, but obviously men's basketball against Montana. I honestly think that UND can get that game against Montana on Thursday if they play well. Montana's very good, but I think that North Dakota has a good chance, and it should be a great showdown. They're trying to give away a whole bunch of T-shirts on that game, so get out for that promotion. It should be a lot of fun inside the Betty Enkelstedt Sioux Center.
About time they get one of those, isn't it? Weber State, they played them real tough.
Yeah.
A team that's obviously good, but you got to do better than play tough.
Northern Colorado, Sacramento State.
Yeah, you got to get one.
Got to get one, and it's going to set up that showdown on Thursday. Let's see if they can get there. It should be fun to watch.
All right, and I'm looking forward to the Denver hockey series with the Pioneers coming in, and it's a great rivalry between the two teams, and interesting to see how UND reacts after sitting out for a week. And Coach would say it's not a week off, but it's not playing competition on the weekend like they're.
You won't get to interview the Guaz though this weekend.
No interviewing in the Guaz. Montgomery's the guy this week. All right, thanks guys. Catch an all-new episode of UND Insider Weekly next Wednesday at 8 o'clock on UNDsports.com and Friday at 5 on Midco Sports Network.